All right. Welcome back to Black Ribbon Warrior, where we are discussing our journey through stage 4 metastatic melanoma cancer. I'm your host, and my lovely bride is right here.
Hi.
Most of you know us, most of you don't. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Anyway, um, so we are a week away from my first scans in um, surveillance mode. So for the new ones who don't know, I had a tumor, an inflamed lymph node under my arm that was the size of a baseball on a good day. Some days it was bigger than a softball. And I had a tumor on my brain, um, same side as the lymph node, um, that was the size of a ping pong ball. We had that radiation and had that surgically removed, and still have the brain fog. Not as bad, more the skipping.
Well, it's skipping, forgetfulness, um,
I get,
and you kind of get. This is going to come out really mean, but you get kind of childlike in the sense that when you you want it right now. Stop what you're doing. Help me right now because that's all you can think about. And before you change your mind, you need to get that out. So it's kind of like
yeah,
this self-centered kind of thought process.
and I think some of that is that if I don't get on it now, it'll be gone.
Exactly. That's what I
Like
said. Like,
like that I, that
and
it
I know that it just doesn't make it easy when
that
I'm in the middle
either
of something or
yeah that either the task won't get finished because other things come up and take more precedence, and then we naturally just don't get to it, or I will completely forget about it and lose interest, and then whatever it is I wanted done doesn't
or
get
you
done. And
mention it one time and I didn't realize that he wants that done. It's kind of like I don't know how to explain it. It's so odd because you will talk about something and then randomly throughout this thing you want and I haven't followed your path of thought because it's choppy and it's not there. And then I'm like, what are you talking about? And you're like, I'm talking about this, where maybe you'd been thinking it for 10 minutes. Well, you hadn't said anything and you've been in a whole nother conversation. And then you say it, and I'm like, I don't even, I'm so lost with where you are.
I think you just don't pay attention to me.
I pay attention. I pay attention. But
Yeah.
it's just part of the way your brain thinks now. And just when we think we understand it, there's a new element that's a little bit different, or it manifests in a different way, or
And I'm finding harder to pick up some of the activities that I enjoyed before cancer.
I know I need you to get cooking again. You know I can't stand it.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I did read in the Facebook group, that the one night that I did get on those, and that was, and I found that I don't. It's not that I don't enjoy it. I just don't have that passion for it that I had before. And we run a YouTube cooking channel, and it's more for the hangout anymore on Sundays. That it's the hangout. It's just time that we set aside, and it's just us enjoying the conversation with a friend, and my daughters and the wife occasionally whenever she pops in, but she's usually doing something else. But it's that time that I can snapshot and freeze frame, where we're doing something and not just sitting around staring at each other. Which we end up doing that too on the show because, I forget what I'm saying, and then the crickets
Yeah.
are confused and they don't know whether to chirp or not.
Yeah, it's just one of those. I think it gets. There are days that you're really on it, and then days you're not. And on the days you're not, it happens to be also the days the kids aren't on it, and then your mood just goes sideways because it was harder to get it together. It was harder to plan. It was harder to.
Yeah, and I'm taking
I'm sorry.
and I tend to take some things a little more. If I'm in a mood, things come off harsher than what they should, and they are taken in harder than what they were intended.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
you've been in a mood this week.
so like
So it's been spicy.
yeah, so she'll say something to me and it comes off, and it's kind of like when you read a text message. You read it in whatever tone that you're in.
Mhm.
Whatever tone of voice you are in is how you read that text message. Now the person writing it could have been laughing and giggling and all that, and you just stubbed your toe and you read it and you're not in the happy-go-lucky Smurf village, and so it comes off wrong, and that's kind of where I've been this last week.
Yeah. Yeah,
I've
it's
not.
kind of been an eggshell week. I mean, not I don't know, not like necessarily eggshell, but I find that I didn't necessarily want to engage because you were so into yourself
I
and keyed
Yes,
up and frustrated, and it was almost easier to not engage.
yes. So
Like
this
I could
this
still be in
week
the
it's
space with you, but I wasn't didn't want to have.
in this week because we're. I mean, we talked last week about scan anxiety, and here we are. We're a week away. We're 7 days,
Mhm.
and it's kind of really setting in. And I notice my sleeping is off, way off, and that's why I'm up for a couple hours and then I'm exhausted. I'm tired. But then because of the other things that I've got going on, right at the time I would be able to lay down and go to sleep, I got to be up moving and doing across town. So then time I get back from there, you got just a little bit of time before mom gets off work, and then or my wife gets off work, and then we try to at least be in the same space together. So the not sleeping thing is rough, and partner that with the anxiety, the latent anxiety, the upfront. I think I shared that that new uh, Freestyle Libre that I have. It's a continuous glucose monitor, and I really like it. Oh my goodness, I really like it. But I also don't like it.
I know. I think you focus on it like that's you have the ability to focus on things only that you want to focus on or
Yeah,
you don't want to focus on. So now your focus is what's my number? 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 What's my
and
number?
and because
I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get over this cold, y'all.
and I'm focused on that. Cancer loves sugar. Cancer thrives off sugar. High sugar diet, cancer is going to come back faster. So being type 2 diabetic, got to watch my stuff. And it it gets to the. I mean, the other day I was telling you I was crashing, and my number was still high, which is it was higher for a normal person, but with the thyroid issue, it was crashing. And so I was like, man, so I'm eating towards the numbers. I mean, I'm dipping to the 140s, which normally would be fantastic, but in my current state, That's low.
Right. But you know what? I think you have in your head, you have a set spot you want to be, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that's realistic for you right now.
Right, right.
And so you're hard on yourself, and then
Because
you
as
don't mean to be hard on everyone else, but it it's coming off a little judgy.
because it's one of those that it's hard
And
to regulate. Where your perfect number should be 120 or less. Where in my current state, that's not that's not good
right, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't
for
feel good to be at 120.
my body right now. Not good at 120.
But I think that's just where you're uber focusing and you're driving yourself crazy, and
Yep.
hence you're driving us crazy.
Which then, because I'm hyper focused on that, and you know, I mean, I'm making meals, but it's not anything anybody wants. And I don't ask what they want. I
You're
just
not
fix
really making meals. Let's be honest. You're not really making meals. You're making like,
what I want for that time.
but you're not even making a meal. You're saying, what is the thing? Because I'm hungry. But what is the thing that I can make that I can eat a lot of, but my number's not going to go up, and I don't want to do this, and I really don't want to cook it. So,
Yep.
I'm going to have a whole plate of, I don't know, cheese and pepperonis and carrots and mushrooms and lettuce, and I'm going to call it a salad. And
Yep.
the
So
rest of you, you're on your own.
I'll fix some sort of like salad, or like the other day, because St. Patrick's Day just passed. We did. I had some corned beef and sauerkraut. Had a big pan of it, and I made a couple of rye chaffles, and that was what I had at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for my dinner, late lunch
I
dinner.
know. It's
But
just,
then she's like, "Well, what am I?" Comes down at 5 o'clock, 5:30, and she's like, "What'd you make for dinner?" I'm like, "This," and she's like, "Well, I don't want that." And I was like, "Well, it's fine because I'm full, so I put it away." But it's so I, I'm I am thinking more. This is what I want and what I should eat, and keeping it low to no carbs so I don't see that big spike. And I cheated, and I didn't. Okay, I'm not gonna say I cheated. I'm gonna put this back on her friend Erin, or E. I'm gonna put this on your friend E, because they were taken on a road trip to take Pay back to school. Our middle daughter. It's what, a 3 hour, 3.5 hour ride.
mm-hmm.
And I always buy them junk food to snack on the way. Stuff that they don't get on the normal. Trail mix with M&Ms in it, Sour Patch Kids, Swedish Fish, Nutty Butters. If there's a bag of combos, then they have like some Diet Cokes and waters and teas, and that's it. So they can snack all the way up there, snack all the way back. It's kind of like their cheat day. They can. It's just their girl time. Eat it up, get all sugared up and all that. Well, in this uh, goodie bag, I had some Cadbury eggs stashed away. Well, they get home and there's one Nutter Butter missing,
No, and she ate a couple things.
and
I typically don't eat when I'm driving. I drink
nothing else
the
was
Diet
open.
Coke.
So I was like, "Y'all need to stop talking." Now, granted, they had a lot to talk about. I mean, they're young ladies, so they had the world's problems to solve.
And we did.
And I said, "Y'all need to stop doing that, and you need to eat these snacks because now they're in my house. I don't want them here." That's what got me into the position that I was in with the diabetes, is the high sugar diet. So I told Mom, "Go ahead and take them all upstairs," and she goes, "Yeah, I'll get to that."
Okay, and let me just say, he said, take this all upstairs. I was doing something, and in 5 minutes, he decided I wasn't moving fast enough, and you carried everything upstairs.
Because I know. Yeah, I'll get to that. Could be later this week,
Isn't that
later
frustrating?
later this month.
Isn't that
So I said,
frustrating?
I
I
said
have 6 months.
I said,
Isn't that your excuse?
I said for me, I need it gone, out of sight, out of mind, because my inner fat kid cannot control himself. So I grabbed everything except for the Cadbury eggs, and I took them up to the office, which I don't go into, and I have to make a conscious decision to go there to get snacks. So I have to think about it more so than just walking in the kitchen. Well, anyway, long story short, fat kid in me won, and I got a Cadbury egg. And when I tell you on my graph, my blood sugar spiked almost 90 points. My buddy didn't believe me. He was like, "Yeah, okay, okay." I said, "No, no, I'm serious." And I showed him on the graph, and his eyes went the size of, remember the little teacup saucers?
Hmm.
They went that big. He was like, "Wow, you weren't kidding." I said, "One Cadbury egg," and it took me almost 3 hours to come back down where I was a normal range. So I completely lost train of thought. But so that's part of the anxiety that I'm dealing with is, the inner fat kid wants to eat, and the depression of me wants to eat. The addict part of me wants to, well, I say addict, but I mean the alcoholic part of me is
And
saved,
you're the same.
has changed from drinking to food. So, I mean, I suffer from depression, and I'm on medicine for it, but when I'm wound up like this, it doesn't take much to send you in a spiral. And days like today or this week, this coming week, I'm trying. I got my fingers crossed. I started working on an old project to help get my mind off things, so that's taken a lot of focus, and we're just gonna try to take it day by day, but like I do everything, but
Did
it's
you take a walk today?
no.
Is it walk day? Would that help?
It should be walk day. The walks have went on a hiatus. Um, the weather went from 70 and sunny to mid 30s and raining, and then we're at the high of 50s. And I know most of the country, that's great weather. Um, I guess I've been adapted to the South a little too long, and it's chilly, and I'm finding excuses not to.
I was going to say, it sounds like an excuse not to. We
And
also talked about wanting to go to the gym. And
and
I know I was sick last week,
I think
but
by gym, I think you're talking about the bar that
there's
is
no
called
bar
gym.
called gym. Um,
If I ever opened a bar, that was what I was going to call it.
Which is exactly what you should do.
Was the gym. That way, whenever everybody was like, "Hey, I'm going to the gym," they were coming to see me for a nice pint of ale.
Anyway, we talked about doing that, and you
Yeah.
have found many excuses.
I'm not the only one on that one there, baby.
Well, last week I was sick.
The last month.
I have been working out, but I ask you every time, do you want to do this? And you say no.
Well, pay was in, and you found an excuse every night pay was in to not.
Then let's make a
So
deal. You gotta help
we
me.
we've talked about it, and it goes both ways. So yes, it should be walk day. Um, it may help because I've been very very touchy, and I know that. Um, I haven't been. I mean, I really haven't been doing any of my me time where I would find the spot, sit and read. Now I tell you I'm going to come up and read. Yeah, I take the book up. I put my jammies on and then it's lay down, watch a video, and go to sleep because I'm tired. So my my self care has been, dare I say, twisted because I'm hyper focused and mentally wore out on watching the sugar numbers and trying to eat cleaner there. Um, and and it makes for hard decisions. Like last night, we went to dinner with some friends
Mhm.
and celebrating a birthday for our buddy, and we were looking at the menu and everything looks good, and then you're going, "What's my number going to do? What's my number going to do? What's my number going to do?" And I did see a spike. I mean, I had the shepherd's pie,
Mhm. It was really good.
which has some white starches in it, but I didn't feel bad today. And I had mashed potatoes on top. It was like a deconstructed where all the filling was in the bowl, and then you had mashed potatoes on top, and and it was loaded with vegetables in it and some meat, and so and the gravy wasn't bad. I mean, it had flour in it, you could tell, but I mean, most places aren't going healthy. But anyway, um, so I had that, and I ate the whole thing. Boy, it was good, and I was full, not like uncomfortable full, but I did see a spike, but not nothing that eating at home wouldn't have changed either.
Well, I think the difference was you had a meal rather than piece together things
Yep,
that you thought would keep your number low.
yep.
You ate a meal.
Instead of snacking on ten
This and
different
that and
things,
the
I
other
had a
thing, you
yep,
had a meal.
yep. But so with the scan anxiety, I mean, it throws in so much emotion and so much everything just comes into play. And as I mean, you don't think you're running on 10, but you're 8, and then you spike to 12, and then back to 8. So it's kind of up and down, up and down.
Yet another reason that I resent cancer.
Yeah, and
Because this is likely how we're gonna feel every 3 months. I mean, I don't think it's ever gonna feel good and confident, and I don't think we're ever gonna be confident that, hey, these scans are nothing to worry about. I'm worried. I'm nervous, and
yep.
I don't think if we make it to 5 years that scan's gonna feel different than this one.
I think
And
that I think
so
I think
living
they'll
in
get
this,
easier the farther out we get.
I don't know.
I'm hoping. Like I didn't think this one was going to be as bad, but as it's getting closer and the more we're talking about it, the more I'm realizing.
And
Um,
we're talking about it here, but you and I aren't talking about it necessarily. I reminded you, oh, hey, you have your scan coming up.
yep. Well,
But this is where we're talking about it. We're not talking
like
the
outside. I
rest
mean,
of the day. You and I
um,
are not.
my one buddy and I we've talked about it, and just he's like, well, I'm not as nervous for you about this one because you're so close to where you stop the drugs. So in my mind, this is what he told me yesterday. He said, in my mind, you still got residual drugs in you. So he goes, it's the next one, and I was like, that's the same thought process I'm on.
Yeah, that's a very different thought process than I'm on.
Right. So when you're thinking of it like that, is that the way it goes? I don't think so. But um, but and Cub and I have talked about it because she's asking questions and more. I don't know how to say it. Like she's asking questions more intuitive. Like, how are you feeling about this? Your scans are coming up. You've been on edge. Do you realize you're on edge? How, like she's trying to understand the headspace. And we only talk so far because we talk as far as she wants to go. And that's kind of where we've gotten with her. The other two, they call and we chat briefly about this and that and what they're doing, and then they're off. I mean, they're, I don't want to say teenagers, but because the oldest one's not, but they got their own stuff going on.
Dear, all of the kids, if you use that definition of teenagers, are teenagers.
Yeah,
The difference is the other girls are
they're away.
they're away, and so they don't see your daily mood. They see it when you're here,
Yep.
and when they're here or when you're with them. And they know scan day's coming up, and they could be processing
Things differently.
things how they need to process, and they don't want to talk about it. They're going to want to know the outcome, and they're going to know how your appointment went.
Yep.
But they don't want to have all of the deep conversation prior.
Which Cub, like she has said, because she'll tell me when one of her friends listen to this podcast or um, somebody she knows or comes in contact with is starting the journey and they've got questions, and she'll point them to the podcast, and it's, and then she's got some friends that come up and go, wow, we listened to this, and just so she's listened to them, but she doesn't want any part of being on them. She goes, I've had to watch this. I don't want to relive it.
Uh-huh.
And that makes sense. For us, it's a therapy of sorts, but for her, it's different. And
Yeah, I mean, and it's understandable. It's understandable. So we have to just give her the grace, give all the kids the grace to kind of take as much as they want, to give as much as they want about it, and to kind of let it go.
but what she has come to find out is, like our one friend who's, you said she's doing really well with she switched
Mm-hmm.
from immunotherapy to the oral.
More back to targeted
More,
therapy.
yeah, and she's doing really well. Well, her daughter works like two doors down from our daughter. So they'll run into each other and they're like, hey, and then they're like, hey. So that's kind of nice that she's able to have
I'm
a
so sorry. I have this cough. I apologize. I can't make it go away.
that she's able to have some relief from it, but yet take in as much as she wants.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know.
So, um, there's this thing on TikTok, and I know TikTok is TikTok, and it's there for comedy. It's there for, I don't know, news. It's there for a lot of reasons. But I'm really mad that I can't get this show. It's called The Big C, and it's a lady who's a teacher, married with a child, like a teenager, and she has melanoma. And so TikTok shows like what little clips, 1 minute, 3 minutes of this TV show, and I'm watching it, and I think I've watched most of the one series, but I can't. The series is like you have to buy it like episode by episode because you can't watch it for free anywhere. So I'm using TikTok as my only way to see this thing, and it was shocking to me how real it felt. Like, oh, I know that feeling. Oh, here's this clip. Oh, I get where you're coming from. I know it sounds harsh, but I get where you're coming from. And it is her journey through finding out, and she kept a secret, and then, telling her family, and then dealing with it, and then dealing with her family. And I watched it, and I'm just like, this is probably the most realistic feeling that I've seen somebody portray about it. I mean, because I just watched it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know exactly
Yeah, because
how that feels.
you don't see shows, TV series, or anything like that that are wrapped around cancers.
No, or
You see where was it the one home makeover show somebody might have had and the family had it, and this is the aftermath where they were in a bad situation or whatever.
or it's in a TV show. It's one season. It's all about their cancer, and the next season it's wrapped up, and they've moved on, and everything's great, and
Yeah.
they didn't talk about the crap of it. And this show
Or it's
looks like they talk about the crap of it.
Or it's like the St. Jude's commercials or something like that.
Yeah, but it's
nobody goes into the nitty gritty, which I hope we do. Um,
but I think this one it represented things like she started doing things because for her, for this character, it was it was more terminal, and so she started doing things that she wanted to do, and she started saying things she wanted to say, and she left nothing unsaid. She left nothing unfelt, um, and she lived with incredible humor and laughter, and
I will say
I appreciated it.
I will
That's
say
all.
that
I guess I just really appreciated it.
I will say that I don't feel guilty doing something like if I want to go fishing on a Saturday. I don't feel guilty for taking that time to myself to go fishing on Saturday.
No, you should.
But before, I would have that kind of no, I can't. I got stuff to do with the family. Even if the kids didn't get out of bed I would have been back by the time they got out of bed. It was still that's family time. So any any of the time that I was setting aside that could have been my time. I wasn't reading then. I was trying to you know to be the dad and um, work a lot. And so now I'm like, you know what? You don't like it, fine. I'm gonna do this. I want to go fishing. I'm going fishing. I want to go walk around Harbor Freight. I'll go walk around Harbor Freight.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to go,
Well,
it's
and
like
I think a difference also for you now is you can do it without feeling guilty because you're here more. And whether that wasn't your decision, it was something that cancer kind of decided for you.
hmm
So you have more access to the kids, and you have more access to me, and you're home more. That if you want to do that on a Tuesday afternoon, you can.
yeah.
You don't have to wait till Saturday.
And
So you can kind of.
I kind of look at also the good things that have come from this. You know, yes, I'm home more where I wasn't before. I was working second, third shifts, and in and out of the house all different times. Um, so even when I was here, I wasn't here, and so now it's because of the cancer, it's given me that ability to be home more. The relationship I have with the youngest is grown exponentially. The relationship with the other two has grown a lot, and I mean it's not the same because one's in college and one's living her
Right,
life,
right, just
but
distance.
the relationship that we have, I think it's better.
Mhm.
It's different, but it's better. Um, we look. Part of my day, whatever I'm doing, is I try to be home and around when, because you work from home now.
Right.
So when you come out of the office, I try to be there. I don't have dinner ready and candles and all that. I might
I
have,
don't need candles.
I
I
might
would
have,
like dinner.
I might have a cold beer sitting in the fridge and a bottle of wine on the counter, but you know,
That's for me, y'all, not for him.
yep, that's for her because I'm making a cup of coffee. And but even if we're just sit there and you're watching TikTok and we're just in the same room, that is
Right.
that is better than that's something I look forward to that we didn't do before.
No, we didn't have the opportunity.
Um,
And
which makes me think of my grandparents.
by the way, when I'm watching TikTok, he's watching something on TV that I really can't stand.
Or we've been trying to do a lot more true crime documentaries.
Yeah, we both kind of like that thanks to our kids.
Yeah, some of them are very very slow.
I mean,
So
granted, they're not supposed to be super exciting,
but like if you watch Criminal Minds or something like that Cub watches, then they keep you engaged and you kind of right there with them. We get through some of these on Netflix, and it's like I can't even make it through this. We're
well,
not even 10 minutes in.
we've talked that we don't watch movies because you can't handle it. You can't sit there. You can't pay attention. And you'll be on your phone within 20 minutes because I
Yep.
look over and you're on there a lot just because you can't focus anymore.
And most
So
of the time, I'm
it's,
playing solitaire.
yeah. I mean, it's just one of those that it's just the way that everything's changed.
But we look forward to that couple hours of just you and me time, chilling in the same room, listening to the dog whine.
You need to hold that dog more through the day. Maybe it'd make you both happier. Wouldn't that be crazy if it helped your mood? Because
It,
petting a dog is supposed to help your mood. So just let her sit on your lap.
yeah.
That's all she wants.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yep.
so yeah, that's.
So what are your feelings? Because I know you've been kind of standoffish,
Mhm.
but it's not all because of me
No.
being. I mean, we both feed off of the same thing. So if I'm kind of strung a little tight, like wound a bit tight, but not like to where I'm going to blow. But if I'm just wound up, you know, then you go tighter, and you're already wound tight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Like I've said before. Like I do have an issue with being wound tight, and that is because I'm balancing all the balls. I'm balancing all the things. Like I balancing the schedule, the like the doctor's appointments, how we're getting everything done, what's going on, what has to get done, the phone calls that still have to be made. I'm balancing my work, my school, making sure the bills are all paid, the all of that's done, and some nights I'm still doing all the housework. Nolan does most of it. But I'm still making sure the house is done and the house is clean because you are a cleaner of the garage, sir. You do not really clean in the house. So if it needs done, it's me or Nolan who are doing that.
I don't shampoo the carpets or clean windows.
Honey, we should not make a list.
No, we're not going to make a list.
But so I'm doing all of that, so I'm automatically wound a little tighter. And so when you're wound tight, I'm like, I don't even know how to help you because you have it all in your head. You have your whole plans in your head, and I only get parts of them. And so when I can't read your mind, even though you can't read your mind,
And
you just get really short.
and the real hard part is trying to what's relay, trying to relay what's going on upstairs and not sound batshit crazy.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of why I do go a little more standoffish. Like, okay, I'm going to give him his space.
Yeah, because a
When
lot of
he's
times,
ready, he'll tell me what's going on. But if I push you, you get like, what
because
do you want me to say?
a lot of times when
You know,
she's
and
like, "Hey, what's going on?" and I mean, it's like you just dropped an egg on the floor and there's everywhere. There's stuff everywhere. That's kind of where it's at.
I mean, and that's kind of how it feels. Like you're getting ready to drop eggs all over, and I'm on cleanup crew.
Yep.
You know, so I'm like, okay, what's going on? And you know, we said it. You're like this when the middle one was home for spring break, and her and I looked at each other and exchanged a look, and you were like, what? And we're like, you're just on one today.
And I didn't realize.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's just you're a little snarky, and then you took everything that was written in lowercase letters. You took it written in capitals with exclamation marks, and it just I get it. I
And
understand it. I mean,
and that's some of the
but it
stuff
doesn't
that
mean that it's easier to deal with.
and that's some of the stuff that um, as the would you come up with a better term than patient? It's not a victim. I don't want to call it a victim.
No,
The
uh, patient. I mean, I don't know the word you want to use.
I don't know,
The
but
non-caregiver, the other one.
as the specimen.
Oh, that sounds even worse.
Yeah, that's better. As the specimen, um, we don't realize stuff like that, and that was one thing that you'd read on that you would told me that you read on that Facebook group was
Uh-huh.
that people get really short and their temperaments and attitudes completely, you know, 180. And
Well, then you get. It's funny because I can be, if I'm not sensitive, for lack of a better word, to your mood, then it's, well, what's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with me. Well, you're acting funny. Well, it's really because you're acting crazy. So I'm just going to stay over here and act quiet and all over here by myself in my own world, not to invade your world, to make to like make it even more difficult. You know, and does that make sense? Like when you're in that mood, you're like, well, what's wrong with you? Well, nothing's wrong with me. Well, why are you acting like that? Well, because something's wrong with you. And
yeah,
if I tell you something's wrong with you, you're going to throw it back at me. So, nothing. Nothing. I'm just sitting here reading my book. Just sitting here reading my book. And it's not you. It's not my husband trying to be difficult.
right.
And I know that. And I mean, it doesn't make it always easy to deal with. But I know you're not trying to make it hard. Um, but it's just kind of where you are that day. And we're going to make it through that day, and we're going to hope tomorrow's a better day.
Yep. I had a thought. Cub and I were
If
talking.
you could see him, like he's pulled his whole body up, and he's thinking, and you can see that he's thinking, but it's not catching.
Yeah, I should have
It's
wrote it
just
down
not.
because
It's not catching in there.
Cub and I were driving today, and um, we were talking. I can't even remember what now. And I was like, "Oh, that's a good point." And I cannot
It'll come back to you. It'll come back to you when we both moved on from this conversation,
Hmm.
and I think that we're on somewhere else, and then you're just gonna spit it out, and I'm gonna have to play catch up.
Yeah, that's probably that'll be what happens.
I mean, it's fine. It's one of those that we're learning to expect.
And the brain doctor said that this is okay, that this happens
Hmm.
when anxiety gets up, when um, what else did he said it another way.
He said all of the symptoms you had prior to the brain tumor removal, all of that can come back when you're sick, when you're anxious, um, when you're tired, and it could be like pseudo symptoms. So it looks like, oh my God, something's really wrong again. And it lasts for a few days, but if it lasts for, a week or two, then we got to go in and get checked. And I've seen it multiple times for a few days. And and again, this is where, and I said I have a lot of balls in the air here that I'm balancing. This is one of them because I keep this running total of how you feel in my head every day. Is this day one? Is this day four that you've complained about X, Y, and Z? Is this serious? Is this studio? Is this, oh, let me go through. Has he eaten well? Has he slept well? Have we been really busy? Has he increased his activity? La da 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 da, and on and on and on to say if I think something's wrong or is this studio? And some days I wish I could shut my brain off. Some days I wish I had your brain because I
Oh,
could just skip it. I could just let it skip through and not focus on it. But that fills my
yeah.
brain.
It is frustrating on my side where I completely in the middle of a sentence and I lose train of thought, and like I whatever point I was going to make, I can't even come close to hitting the wall that was pinned on.
The thing that I'm happy about, like even with all these studio days, you still are able to comprehend me.
Mm-hmm.
And when you had the brain tumor, you couldn't comprehend what I was saying. You heard me because
Yep.
you could repeat back to me what I said.
Yeah, because it would
And
echo in my brain and be like yelling in a cave and hello, hello, hello,
but you
hello.
couldn't respond appropriately to anything I said. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the new signal for me that, oh, this is studio. Like he might be acting, but if he can come back and respond to me appropriately, then it's probably studio and nothing really to worry about. But if he stops, so it is constantly a watch. It's a watch game. I feel like I'm playing that I Spy game in the in the highlights books where you had to circle the things that were wrong or find the
Oh,
missing pictures in those highlights
where you had
magazines.
four pictures and one of the ears were messed up or backwards
Or
and
just missing pictures, like,
yeah.
or hidden pictures, like looking for it. I have all these clues, and I'm like trying to make sense of where we are and what's going on. I mean, I felt that with your legs. Like, I had to brainstorm and I had to problem solve. Like, what was wrong? Like, why were your legs hurting? Was it this? Was it this? Was it this? Is it something more? It's the same with you've been more tired. Is it because you're anxious? Is it because your mind is going 100 miles an hour and you can't control any of that? Or is it because something else is prohibiting you from sleeping? Like, what's going on? And,
Yep.
I'm getting anxious to just, I want to see the scan. I want the report. I want to read it. I want to make sure everything is exactly how it should be. And then maybe my mind will go at ease a little bit.
Well, I've got a really good feeling that everything's gonna be fine. That all this is for nothing, but it's not for nothing because it is a big deal. It's kind of like that. feeling of making your last car payment.
But that's exciting.
But it's that anxious, not giddiness, but I don't know.
I don't know. I'm always super excited. I mean, in one sense, I am super excited to get these scans and to see that it's nothing.
Yeah, that's where I was going for.
But then there's
That's where I
that
was
part
going
of me
for is
that's like, don't put all your eggs in that basket.
yeah,
Prepare yourself in case it's something.
and that's the part that makes you go, hold on a minute,
Mhm.
what if? And I know the Lord told me, He said, why worry? And He's got it under control. I just got to, you know, kick back and let Him drive.
Mhm.
I mean, He took the wheel and once, and so I just got to kick back and let Him drive. But I've also known that my quiet time has been compromised by this scan anxiety. So that might be what I have to combat it with is more structured quiet time, like making that instead of trying to sit outside, go sit in the garage. When the weather's bad and raining or whatever, go sit in the garage. Um, put my earplugs in and not listen to the dog whine.
We have a couch in there. You can even lay down on it.
It's a love seat.
Yeah, you could like pop your knees up. Like you could lay your body on it and put your feet on the armrests
Yeah,
and just let your body relax for a minute.
yeah. But I don't know. So that's where
Kind of where we are.
that's where we're at this week.
A little more somber, I feel like. Just kind of
What's is melancholy?
melancholy.
Is that the term
Yeah,
I'm looking for?
just kind of blah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's
I
fair.
think that's what I'm looking for.
I mean, I'm still trying to get over whatever cold this is. And I don't want to be coughing there and them tell me I can't be in your appointment because that would piss me off. Um, so I'm trying to get better and make sure you don't get sick because I don't want anything to postpone anything.
Yeah.
So and it's just lots of things on my brain right now.
Yep. All good things. Hopefully. I mean, we're trying to turn them good, and that's another thing. Trying to keep everything positive. It's so easy to blow things up way out of proportion negatively, but it's hard to light the positivity candle.
I in one way I kind of disagree. Like right now, I feel like we've had a lot of positivity
Yes.
through this when and maybe because maybe that's a little bit naive. Like, yeah, it sucked at the time, and it still sucks. It still sucks everything we've gone through, and you've gone through, and our families had to go through. But it it's like we were dropped off a cliff, and we're slowly climbing our way up. We haven't had a lot of setbacks.
Yes.
Knock on wood, that
Um,
we won't. But
we I think we've been very fortunate that it's not been worse.
yeah,
Um, I've met people on Instagram, face to face, that have had it worse.
hmm
I've known people that have had it worse, and so we are very blessed in that. In the time that I'm talking now, though, at
this this
this
phase.
this headspace, it's because everything's kind of um, on high alert,
hmm
um, that that positivity candle is harder to light.
Yeah, I get that.
And I look back and every morning I get up and I thank the Lord for the day, for being able to see this day. Even at 12:30 at night when I wake up, or 3 in the morning when I wake up and I can't go back to sleep till 6 in the morning, and I toss and turn all night long. Still, when I get out of bed, thank you, Lord, I'm able to see this day. It's another day above the grass, and I start off every day like that. But then it's like I walk downstairs, and fortunately, my wife's up before me, and she makes the pot of coffee, so that's another hallelujah right there. And then you turn around and you're like,
And I also think you're getting frustrated because you've never had this much time that you didn't work,
true.
and now you're feeling better. In one sense, you're feeling a little better, and you're like, dang, like I still can't work. Like
I still can't like do.
you still can't do the things you were doing before, because of endurance, and strength is an issue, and brain
and,
and multitasking and all of
and
that kind of
desire,
deficits.
desire to do half the stuff that I used to do just isn't there.
Yeah. And I think that might be weighing on you just a smidge. Like you have all this time,
And it's kind of like,
and this is what you wanted was time. When you were working, I just want time.
yeah, like
And
you
now you
never had.
have it, and you can't do the things you wanted to use it for.
Right,
And I think that's
because now
irritating for you.
everything's changed, and you know, certain projects are like put on hiatus because you're like, what what's going to happen to it when you're gone? Certain things where, does this really mean anything? Well, to you it does, but to me it doesn't. Kind of thing, or it means something to me personally, but in the long run, it doesn't to anybody else.
Okay. Well, let's
So,
just clarify some of the things you that mean something to you are kind of silly.
to an extent,
And so
but some of it's,
they don't mean the same things to
yeah,
me.
some of it tickles my inner child,
Yes.
and for you, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
So,
All I see are dollar signs.
yeah. So, I'm having, and that's the kind of thing that I'm into right now. Like, this would be really cool, and I have most of the stuff. Let's look into doing that.
Mhm.
And then it's like, okay, I gathered stuff, all the things out of the garage, and I found this, and I found this, and so I gather all my stuff, and then the desire to put it all together isn't there,
Right.
and that's a hard part. If that makes sense.
Mhm. Well, maybe as we get a little further in all of this, the desire will come back.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, and I'm still finding, we'll go out and I'll just pick a shelf on the in the garage, and I'll take everything off of it, and I'll go through it, and I'll throw away most of it. And I'm like, I don't even remember why I kept half this stuff. And I go through, and the trash can's half full on Monday. It's like, ugh. But it's a work in progress.
It is. It all is. And it's okay. It's supposed to be. It's never going to be right the first time. What have we always said? If it's easy,
It ain't for
it
me.
ain't for me. So this is just another one of those moments that it's not easy. That's all.
Yep. And it's hard to um, pick the things that will mean things later on. We went through that with multiple parents and grandparents passing, that you keep things because it was theirs, or you keep things because it was who they were.
Mhm.
And that's, unfortunately, that's kind of what I started using that logic. And a lot of what I when I start going through stuff, and the girls aren't into what I was gonna be into or what I was into. So
No, but it is for them a big part of who you are. So, I mean, you have to think that way. Like, your girls will forever see a Wolverine and think of you. Forever.
the comic book action figure,
Yes.
not the
Not the team.
ugh,
Or Star Wars.
yeah,
You'll flip it on and be like, ah, oh,
or my Transformers.
or your Transformers. So, a lot of the stuff will always be the stuff the kids remember. Cast iron,
Yep,
cars.
that was one thing that did. I was using the Grandma Pearls. So my grandpa's mom's skillet. My aunt found it in the barn. Um, Dates back to like 1870. Um, that skillet holds a lot for me. Um, Knowing that it was my great great grandma's,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about all the meals that they prepared in that for the farm, for the family. My grandpa growing up, probably how many biscuits did he eat out of that pan? Like it's just your mind starts going, and you're like, wow. And to know that it's 120 some years old, 150 years old, you're like, wow, this is awesome, and I've got it. My aunt blessed me with the ability to restore it, and then I was enjoying cooking in it after surgery because I got it when we went back
You
in.
got it the July before your diagnosis.
Yep. So then after I got home, and after all this stuff settled down, I restored it, and she had, I was sending her pictures and cooking bacon in it. I'd get up at 6 in the morning because I couldn't sleep, and I'm cooking bacon in it, and I'm like, you have no idea the sound of how comforting it was. This skillet and cooking bacon in it after all this stuff, and she was like, keep it, it's yours. I was like, what? No way. And she's like, yeah. She was, it was always meant to be for you. Keep it. And I've got a feeling that's the one skillet that the kids will fight over. I don't know. Cub was like, yeah, 'cause I made mention of it the other day that they're not going to want any of this stuff, and she said, don't be so sure about that, old man.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm telling you,
but I got a feeling
these
that
girls are they're some emotional girls.
yeah, I got a feeling that one skillet will be the one that they go over. I wouldn't mind seeing a few black eyes over that one.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can make that happen, if the need comes to make that happen.
Yeah.
But the goal is that doesn't happen for a many number of years.
At least 50.
At least.
At least 50, yeah.
At least 50. 50's a good one.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's get off here. We have to make some dinner.
Yeah, we've kind of rambled on long enough. So that's kind of our week. We're still high strung, I guess. Would be the
Yeah, I think we're just on edge.
wound tight. Is that what we're gonna call this one? On edge?
Yeah, I think we're on edge.
A little bit on edge. Wound tight. Um, yeah.
And maybe even a little lost because we don't know what to think or how to feel or.
To say confusion would be an understatement because it's not only like your brain trying to like go through the jungle, but you're hot and you're cold at the same time.
Yeah.
You're sweating and you're freezing, and it's like up or down. I don't know. I don't know. Um, but what I do know is, fortunately, we changed the tail light and the marker lights on the car that Cubs is taking her driver's license in, and because that is one thing that they look at. They check all the lights. So I don't know about anything else, but I know that was a good thing I did.
All right.
So, all right, everybody. Well, let's get out of here. I hope everybody has a great week. Hug your mom. Call somebody. Tell them you love them. Uh, and, well, be nice to yourself. You deserve it. And remember, if you're going through some tough shit, there's somebody that's going through tougher shit. So, we're all warriors together. Different battle gear, but we're all warriors.
Yep.
So, well, we will get out of here, and we will talk to you all next week.